Sorry, Mom. What kind of morons pay this clown? My dad sneered at my career. No more cash, ever. I hit send without a second thought. 6 months later, my sister's desperate call changed everything. I never thought I'd be the one to torch the bridge. Not me, the quiet kid who'd carried the family on my back since I was barely old enough to vote. But bridges burn slow at first, don't they? A spark here, a crack there, until the whole damn thing collapses in a roar you can't ignore. That's how it went with us. My name's Lucas, 26 years old, and for 7 years, I've been the golden goose they mocked while plucking every feather I had, until the day I stopped laying eggs. It started like any other morning. Sunlight sliced through my blinds, sharp and accusing, hitting the desk where my monitors hummed softly. The ping of donation alerts from my overnight stream still echoed in the room. $20 here, $50 there. Little digital hugs from a community I'd built from scratch. 5 million followers across platforms. Deals with gaming companies I'd idolized as a kid. A sleek apartment with a view of the city skyline. All of it from streaming, from turning late-night gaming sessions into a career. Surreal, sure, but real enough to pay my bills, and theirs. My phone buzzed on the desk. 3 missed calls from Mom, a text from my brother Jake. Yo, when's the cash hitting this month? Rent's due. Nothing new there. My stomach twisted, that old familiar knot of being a wallet with a heartbeat. I ignored it, sipped my coffee, scrolled my inbox, content collabs, sponsor pitches, the pulse of a life they didn't get. Dad called it fooling around online, a lazy kid scam. Mom just smiled thinly, like she was humoring a toddler. Jake? He'd roll his eyes and ask for more. Then the notification hit, a DM from my mod, Sarah, who'd been with me since day one. Lucas, you need to see this, now. A link followed. My pulse kicked up, palms sweaty as I clicked. Channel drama? A copyright strike? I'd weathered those storms before. But this was a hurricane I never saw coming. The video loaded, grainy at first, then sharp as a knife. My dad's voice boomed, loud and smug, cutting through the hum of Mom's kitchen. Who pays this fool? Sitting there, clicking buttons all day like some overgrown kid. What kind of idiots throw money at that? The camera wobbled, Jake's shaky grip behind it, filming from the doorway like a coward. Mom sat at the table, stirring her tea, chuckling. Oh, Greg, stop. At least his little game pays the bills. Dad grinned, leaned back in his chair. Yeah, our personal ATM. Look at me. I'm Lucas. Pro gamer. He hunched over, mocked my setup, clicking an invisible mouse with exaggerated whines. So important, huh? Never worked a real job in his life. Jake's voice piped up, egging him on. Tell us again, Dad, how he thinks this is work. More laughter, a chorus of it, slicing me open. The video stretched on, 2 minutes, then 3, each second a fresh wound. 30,000 views already, posted on Jake's pathetic little TikTok with a caption, When your brother thinks streaming is a job, LOL. My hands shook, coffee forgotten, the screen blurring as rage and shame collided in my chest. 8 years. 8 years of wiring money, $2,000 a month, sometimes more. I'd paid off their house, covered Jake's car after he totaled his last one, funded Mom's emergency shopping sprees, Dad's fishing trips, all while they smirked behind my back, now in front of the world. I'd known they didn't respect it, not really, but this was a public gut punch, a family-wide middle finger to the one thing keeping them afloat. My phone buzzed again. Mom, Lucas, sweetie, when's this month's transfer? Dad and I are eyeing that new deck we mentioned. The deck, the one they'd casually dropped in a call last month, like I'd just nod and foot the bill. Something snapped, a quiet break deep inside, like a string stretched too thin, finally giving way. I set the phone down, let it buzz itself to death, and opened my banking app. The joint account stared back at me. $720,000 my money, every dime I'd stashed there for family emergencies. Their emergencies, always. car repairs, medical copays, Jake's rent when he forgot to budget. I hovered over the transfer button, breath shallow, then moved it all. Every cent to my private account. Done. Then I typed an email, short, cold, final. Attached the video link, added one line. No more handouts. Ever. I hit send, shut my laptop, stepped onto my balcony. The city hummed below, oblivious, and for the first time in years I breathed, really breathed, like I just clawed my way out of a grave. The fallout came fast. Calls, texts, voicemails piling up like a digital avalanche. Mom's voice shrill and pleading. Lucas, what's this about? Call me. Jake, all bravado. Dude, you serious? Quit playing. Dad didn't bother. He'd wait for Mom to guilt me back in line. I muted them, streamed that night like nothing happened, smiled for my chat, bantered with my mods. They didn't need to know. This was mine, this world I'd built, and they had no claim to it anymore. 3 days of silence. Mine, not theirs. I blocked their numbers after the first wave, changed my email, told my doorman to turn them away. Then the buzzer rang, sharp and insistent, cutting through my morning coffee. Mr. Carter, your father's here. He's upset. Should I send him up? My heart slammed against my ribs, flight instinct screaming, but I was done hiding. Yeah, send him up. The wait was torture. Each tick of the clock, a hammer on my nerves. 3 hard knocks rattled the door, and there he was. Dad, red-faced, barreling past me before I could speak. What the hell are you doing? Lucas? His voice filled the room, heavy with that old authority I'd once shrunk from. I shut the door, slow, deliberate. Good to see you too, Dad. He spun on me, finger jabbing the air. Don't get cute. What's this crap about cutting us off? Your mother's a wreck. I met his glare, steady, unflinching. I saw the video. His face flickered, confusion, then a flash of guilt, buried fast under dismissal. That? That was a joke, kid. Jake was messing around. You know how he is. A joke. My voice came out flat, too calm. Dangerous. 30,000 people laughing at me. That's a hell of a punchline. He waved it off like swatting a fly. You're too sensitive. Always have been. Can't take a little ribbing? The casual shrug, the smirk. It lit a fuse I didn't know I had. Ribbing? I've bankrolled you for years, Dad. Your house, your trips, Jake's screw-ups. All from this joke of a job. He scoffed, crossed his arms. Oh, please, you play games. Lucas, it's not work. You're lucky it pays anything. Lucky. The word hit like a slap, and I laughed. Sharp, bitter, cutting through the tension. Lucky? I'm one of the top streamers in the game. I built this from nothing while you sat there judging me, cashing my checks. We're family, he barked, stepping closer, looming like he used to when I was small. That's what family does. Helps each other. I didn't back down. Not this time. Helps each other? When did you help me, Dad? When you laughed at my dreams? When you bragged about my money while trashing how I made it? He faltered just a second, but it was enough. The truth hung there, naked, undeniable. We raised you, he muttered, weaker now, grasping. Gave you a home. I nodded, slow, mocking. Yeah, the bare minimum, and I've paid it back 100 times over. So what's your excuse for the last 7 years? He had nothing, mouth opening and closing, like a fish on dry land. I pressed on, voice rising. You mocked me in front of the world, and now you're here because you need cash for a deck? Get real. His face twisted, anger flaring back. You think you're better than us now? With your little internet fans? That stung, the old shame creeping in, but I shoved it down, let fury take its place. Those little fans respect me more than you ever did. I'm not choosing them over you. I'm choosing me. He stared, stunned, like I'd grown a second head. Then the guilt card, his ace. Your mom's crushed, Lucas. You want to break her heart over this? I smirked, cold as ice. She'll survive. Might even learn to budget. His eyes narrowed, calculating. And Jake? His rent's due. You gonna let him sink? Jake's 23, I shot back. He can figure it out. I did. Dad's mask slipped, desperation bleeding through. We've got bills, expenses. You can't just abandon us. The entitlement, raw and ugly, stole my breath for a second. Then I stepped closer, voice low, final. Get a job. Dad, I'm done. The silence was deafening, a chasm opening between us. His face crumpled. Rage, shame, disbelief all at once. You ungrateful brat, he hissed, voice trembling. After everything we've done. I cut him off, calm, lethal. What have you done, Dad? Name one thing since I started paying your way. He froze, words dying in his throat, and in that silence I saw it. He had nothing, nothing but me, the fool who'd kept them afloat. Leave, I said, pointing to the door. This isn't over, he snarled, storming out, slamming it so hard the wall shook. I stood there, waiting for the guilt to hit, the old panic of disappointing them. It didn't come. Instead, a weight lifted, light and strange, like I'd shed a skin I didn't know I'd outgrown. That night I streamed again, unscheduled, raw. My chat buzzed. You okay, man? Something's up, spill. I hesitated, then let it out. Made a big call today. Set some boundaries, feels good. No details, no sob story, just the truth. The support rolled in, waves of it, from people who'd never met me but knew me better than my own blood. Proud of you, Lucas. You deserve better. I swallowed hard, blinked back something wet, and kept going. Weeks passed, a quiet I hadn't known I needed. Jake texted once, all caps. You seriously screwing us over? Rent's late. I didn't reply. Mom called from a burner number a month later, voice soft, shaky. Lucas, we're struggling. Dad won't say it, but we need you. My chest ached. She was Mom, after all, the one who'd tucked me in, kissed my scrapes, but she'd stood by, laughed too, cashed the checks. I'm sorry, I said firm. I can't anymore. Your family, she whispered, the old line worn thin. Family doesn't mock each other for laughs, I replied. That video wasn't a mistake. It was a choice. She sighed, long and heavy. Kelly's sorry, you know. She didn't mean, I cut in. It's still up, Mom. 35,000 views now. Actions speak louder. She had no answer, just silence, and I hung up, steady, unburdened. Then the bank alert. $300 withdrawn from the old emergency account I'd forgotten to kill. They'd found a way in, scraped the last crumbs. I shut it down, cut the final thread, and felt nothing. No anger, no shock, just confirmation I'd chosen right. 6 months later, life was mine. A new deal with a major platform, 7 figures, a house with a yard, a rescue pup named Blitz who chewed my cables but made me laugh. The family-shaped scar faded, still there but less raw. Then Jake messaged, no demands this time, just, hey, miss you. That video was dumb. I was an ass. Not an apology, not quite, but a crack in the wall. I replied cautious, yeah, it sucked. Coffee sometime? No promises, no cash. Just a step, maybe. A year in, a package arrived, no sender, postmarked home. A USB drive, a note in Mom's shaky scrawl. I'm sorry it took so long. I plugged it in, hands unsteady. Dad's face filled the screen. Older, tired, alone at that damn kitchen table. Lucas, if you see this, I was wrong. About your job, about you. I didn't get it. Still don't, maybe. But I was jealous. You made it doing what you love. I never did. His voice cracked, eyes shining. I tore you down because I felt small. Took your money, mocked you anyway. I'm sorry. It ended abrupt, no fanfare. I sat there, staring, feeling the past shift. Not gone, not fixed, but seen. I didn't call back, not yet. Some things need time, even after the words come. But I kept the drive, let the good memories creep in. Dad teaching me to ride a bike, his rare grin when I won a school award. Small, buried things, not enough to erase the hurt, but enough to soften it. Now, 18 months out, I'm solid. Streaming's my life. My community's my backbone, and I don't need anyone's approval but my own. If they come back, Mom, Dad, Jake, it'll be on my terms with respect, not a paycheck. I'm not the kid they laughed at anymore. I'm Lucas, the guy who built something real, who learned that family isn't blood. It's who lifts you up. And that's a truth I'll carry, heavy as it was to earn, light as it feels to live.
How I unleashed a family secret that tore us apart and left me, standing in the ruins of their lies. The dining room smelled of roasted turkey and regret, a familiar haze that clung to my parents' suburban Massachusetts home like a second skin. It was November 17th, 2024, and I, Emily Carter, 32, had dragged myself 3 hours from Boston for this obligatory family dinner. My knuckles still ached from gripping the steering wheel, my mind replaying every guilt trip my mother had lobbed at me over the phone. "You never visit, Emily. We're not getting any younger." Across the table sat my younger brother, Lucas, 29, a perpetual disaster in a stained hoodie, his unshaven face a testament to his refusal to grow up. My parents, Richard and Diane, presided at the head, their faces a mask of forced cheer I'd long since stopped trusting. The meal trudged on, forks scraping plates in a rhythm of unspoken tension. I'd barely swallowed a bite of mashed potatoes when my father cleared his throat, a sound that carried the weight of a gavel. "We've got something to say," he announced, his voice rough with the authority he wielded like a club. My mother's eyes gleamed, her hands clasped in a display of excitement so rehearsed it made my skin crawl. Lucas smirked, that lopsided grin I'd hated since we were kids. The one he wore when he crashed my car at 16, when he borrowed my savings at 22 for a scam that left me broke, when he coasted through life while I scrubbed the family's messes clean. "Lucas is moving into your condo, Emily," my father declared, as if he'd just handed him the keys to a kingdom. "You're always off at that job of yours, traveling, leaving it empty. It's a waste. He needs a place to get on his feet." The words slammed into me like a freight train. My fork hovered midair, gravy dripping onto the tablecloth in slow, accusing drops. I blinked, waiting for the punchline, the retraction, anything to break the absurdity. Nothing came. My mother nodded, her smile widening into something almost predatory. "It's perfect, sweetie. Lucas deserves a fresh start, and you don't need all that space, do you?" I set my fork down with deliberate care, the clink a gunshot in the silence. "My condo?" I said, my voice low, trembling with a rage I hadn't known I could feel. "The one I bought with my money? The one I've paid every damn mortgage payment on for 6 years while Lucas hasn't held a job longer than a season?" Lucas leaned back, arms crossed, his smirk unwavering. "Yeah, Em, Mom and Dad figured it's better than me crashing here forever. I'm almost 30. Time to step up, right?" I stared at him, then at my parents. Their faces were a grotesque gallery, my father's stern expectation, my mother's faux innocence, Lucas's casual arrogance. They hadn't asked me. They hadn't hinted. They'd simply decided my home, the one thing I'd carved out for myself through years of overtime and sacrifice, was now Lucas's playground. I reached for my wine glass, the stem cool against my shaking fingers. I took a slow sip, letting the burn steady the storm inside me. Then, with a smile sharp enough to draw blood, I said, "That's funny, because I sold it last month." The room exploded into chaos. Lucas's smirk vanished, replaced by a slack-jawed gape. My mother gasped, her hand flying to her chest in a theatrical swoon. My father's face turned a deep, furious red, a vein pulsing in his temple like a ticking bomb. "What?" he roared, slamming his fist on the table. "I sold it," I repeated, my voice calm, deadly. I pulled a manila envelope from my purse and slid it across the table with the precision of a surgeon. "Here's the deed transfer, signed and notarized. Mortgage paid off, profit banked, it's gone." Lucas lunged for the envelope, tearing it open with frantic, fumbling hands. His eyes scanned the pages, widening in horror as the reality sank in. No, you can't do this. Mom and Dad said..." "Mom and Dad don't own my condo," I cut in, my gaze locking onto my parents like a predator sizing up prey. "And neither do you. I'm not your bank, your maid, or your landlord. I'm done being the one you lean on while you prop him up. My mother's tears came fast, a flood of practiced despair. Emily, how could you do this? Your brother needs help. He's struggling. He's 29, I snapped, standing and grabbing my coat from the chair. He's not struggling. He's a leech, and you've enabled him my entire life, expecting me to pick up the slack. I've paid for his mistakes, fixed your problems, listened to your excuses. Not anymore. My father's voice thundered, shaking the walls. This is selfish, Emily. You know Lucas isn't as strong as you. We've always counted on you. I paused at the door, turning to face them one last time. My eyes burned, but I refused to let the tears fall. Maybe if you'd stopped treating him like a helpless infant, he'd have learned to stand on his own 2 feet. You've counted on me too long, and I'm out of favors. Good luck digging yourselves out of this one. I stepped into the night, the cold air slicing through my coat, a bitter but liberating sting against the fire in my chest. I drove back to Boston that night, my headlights piercing the dark like a beacon of my newfound resolve. I'd already rented a sleek apartment downtown, high ceilings, floor-to-ceiling windows, a view of the city that felt like a fresh start. The condo sale money sat in my account, a lifeline I'd earned through years of grinding at a job that demanded everything. I booked a trip to Santorini, 2 weeks of sun, sea, and silence, and for the first time in years, I felt the weight of their expectations lift. I thought I'd cut the cord for good. I was wrong. A week later, my phone became a war zone. Unknown numbers flooded my screen, voicemails, texts, a relentless assault I tried to ignore. But curiosity, that damnable itch, got the better of me. I played the first message, my mother's voice shrill and accusing. Emily, where are you? Lucas is a wreck. You've destroyed everything we've built. I deleted it, my finger trembling. Then Lucas. You think you're untouchable, huh? You'll regret this. Delete. My father. We didn't raise you to turn your back on family. Delete. They didn't stop there. Lucas showed up at my old condo, pounding on the door until the new owners, a retired couple with gentle smiles, called the police. He screamed that it was his house, that I'd stolen his future and got himself hauled off in handcuffs. My parents bailed him out with money they didn't have, then called me, their voices a mix of desperation and rage. Fix this, Emily. He's your brother. You can't just walk away. I blocked them all, one by one, the satisfying click of each contact disappearing a small victory. The extended family joined the fray, a chorus of judgment raining down. Aunt Karen left a voicemail dripping with sanctimony. How could you abandon your own flesh and blood? Cousin Mike texted, You're breaking your parents' hearts over a stupid condo. Uncle Tom emailed a sermon. It's just a house, Emily. Give it to Lucas and move on. I deleted every message, but the pressure built, a storm cloud swelling over my head, threatening to drown me in their collective guilt. Lucas slunk back to my parents' basement, a 29-year-old man-child sulking on a couch that sagged under the weight of his failures. I heard through a mutual friend. He'd lost his latest job, a 3-month gig at a vape shop, his personal best before he inevitably self-destructed. My parents kept coddling him, feeding his delusions of victimhood, while I kept my distance. Santorini was a revelation. Whitewashed cliffs, turquoise waves, the absence of their voices a balm I hadn't known I needed. I sipped wine on a balcony overlooking the Aegean, the sunset painting the sky in hues of gold and crimson, and thought I'd won my freedom. 2 weeks after I returned, the real war ignited. My phone pinged with a bank alert. Someone had tried to log into my account. My heart raced as I locked it down, new passwords, 2-factor authentication, but the violation lingered, a shadow creeping into my sanctuary. Then my realtor called, her voice tight with unease. Emily, just confirming your address change request. What request? I demanded, my pulse hammering in my ears. She hesitated. Someone called, said they were you, gave your old address, your birthday, wanted your new apartment's details. I got suspicious when they couldn't answer your security question. What's your childhood pet's name? I didn't have to ask who. Lucas, he wasn't just bitter, he was hunting me. I unblocked my mother's number and it rang instantly, her voice piercing through the line like a siren. What the hell is wrong with Lucas? I snarled, my patience a frayed thread. She gasped, playing the wounded martyr. Why are you so angry? You've ignored us for weeks. Because your precious son tried to steal my identity, I roared, my voice echoing off the apartment walls. He's been harassing me, trying to hack my bank, digging for my address. Explain that, Mom. He wouldn't, she started, but I cut her off, my words a torrent. Stop lying. It started the second I cut him off. Tell him to back off or I'm calling the cops. The police? She shrieked, her voice rising to a pitch that could shatter glass. Emily, please. Just talk to him. He's desperate because you abandoned him. Put him on, I said, my tone ice cold, unyielding. Rustling, then Lucas's voice slithered through, smug and venomous. Oh, now you want to chat? What was your plan, Lucas? I asked, leaning into the phone, my words slow and deliberate. Find my new place, show up, demand I hand it over, break in and squat there like you've done with everything else in your life? Silence stretched, taut and heavy. Then a bitter laugh, sharp as a blade. You always thought you were better than me. No, I said, my voice a quiet, lethal promise. I know I am. I hung up, my hands trembling, adrenaline coursing through me like wildfire. I thought that would scare him off, that the threat of legal action would snap him back to reality. I underestimated their desperation, their willingness to burn everything down just to drag me with them. 3 days later, a friend texted me, her message urgent. Em, you need to see this. A Facebook link? I clicked it and my stomach plummeted. A public post from a fake account blazed across my screen. Emily Carter is a heartless monster. Abandoned her dying parents, stole their life savings, left her brother homeless. She's living a lavish life while her family starves in the gutter. Photos, old vacation snaps from a trip to Maine, twisted to look like extravagant getaways, accompanied the lies. The comments were a feeding frenzy. Disgusting. She'll get hers. What kind of person does this to their own blood? Then I saw who shared it. Lucas, my mother, my father. They'd gone nuclear, a full-on smear campaign designed to shred my reputation, my sanity, my life. It didn't stop there. They called my boss, spinning tales of my unstable family situation, hinting I was unreliable, untrustworthy. They messaged my friends, people I'd known since college, feeding them the same venomous lies. They even tracked down my ex-boyfriend, Mark, who texted me, confused. Em, what's going on? Your mom said you stole from them? My phone buzzed nonstop. Anger from strangers, bewilderment from acquaintances, betrayal from those I'd trusted. Is this true? Did you really do that? How could you? I sat on my couch, staring at the screen, my breath shallow, my vision blurring with rage. This wasn't petty sibling rivalry or parental manipulation anymore. It was a calculated, vicious assault. They wanted me broken, humiliated, isolated, a pariah in my own world. They'd picked the wrong target. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I got to work. For days, I gathered evidence. Bank statements proving I'd never touched their money, screenshots of Lucas's threatening texts begging for cash, records of his identity theft attempts when he tried to access my accounts. I hired Rebecca Stein, a lawyer with a reputation for tearing through opponents like a shark through chum. She was a petite woman with a steel gaze and a smile that promised ruin. We drafted a cease and desist letter, demanding they retract their lies, delete the posts, stop the harassment, or face consequences. They didn't back down. A week later, legal papers arrived at my apartment, delivered by a nervous courier who avoided my eyes. My parents and Lucas were suing me. Emotional distress, financial abandonment, a claim I'd left them destitute and owed them the condo's sale proceeds. The accusations were a fever dream of delusion. I'd abused their trust, stolen their stability, driven Lucas to ruin. It was laughable, a desperate swing from a family with nothing left to lose. They thought I'd cave under the pressure, settle quietly to avoid the mess. The courtroom was a circus, a stage for their unraveling. Lucas strutted in, his suit too tight, his hair greasy, a man playing dress-up in a world that had already dismissed him. My parents sat behind him, my mother dabbing at dry eyes with a tissue, my father's jaw clenched in a parody of dignity. Their lawyer, a discount rate hack with a stained tie, fumbled through a weak opening statement, painting me as a cold, selfish daughter who'd abandoned her struggling family. Rebecca dismantled them with surgical precision. She presented my evidence. Clean financial records, Lucas's harassing messages, proof of his identity theft attempts. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair and a voice like a whip, shut it down in under 20 minutes. "This is frivolous nonsense," she snapped, her gavel a thunderclap. "Case dismissed," Lucas erupted, his composure shattering like cheap glass. "This isn't fair," he screamed, slamming his fist on the table. "She ruined my life. She owes me." The judge's gavel cracked again, her eyes narrowing. "One more outburst and you'll be held in contempt. Sit down." My parents stared at me as I gathered my things, their faces a mix of shock and accusation. My mother mouthed, "How could you?" I didn't flinch, didn't acknowledge them. I walked out of that courtroom with my head high, Rebecca at my side, her smirk a silent victory chant. I didn't stop there. The next day, I sued them. Defamation, harassment, intentional infliction of emotional distress. I wanted blood, or at least the closest legal equivalent. They laughed it off at first. Lucas sent me a taunting text. "Good luck with that, sis. You've got nothing." He was wrong. Rebecca built a case so airtight it could have withstood a hurricane. We presented the Facebook posts, the call logs to my employer, the messages to my friends, the bank alerts. The judge ruled in my favor, a $75,000 settlement, co-signed by my parents' dwindling assets. They had to sell their car, dip into their retirement savings, scramble to pay what they owed me. My mother called, her voice a broken sob. "I'm your mother, Emily. How can you do this to us?" "You should have thought of that before you tried to destroy me," I said, my tone flat, final. I hung up as the collection agency moved in, their efficiency a cold comfort. Months passed, and I thought it was over. I'd moved to Seattle, a city of rain and renewal, far from the toxic swamp of my family's reach. My new apartment overlooked Puget Sound, the water a mirror for my hard-won peace. I'd started a new job, a promotion that came with a corner office and a view, a reward for years of grit. The condo money funded a savings account, a safety net I'd never had growing up. I was free, or so I believed. Then an email from Lucas landed in my inbox, the subject line a gut punch. "You win, but you need to know the truth." Against every instinct screaming to delete it, I opened it, my curiosity a traitor. "Mom and Dad lied to me too," he wrote. "They promised an inheritance, said I'd be set if I just waited. They swore your condo was mine someday, part of a plan to keep me taken care of. They never saved a dime. They're in debt. Deep, ugly debt, not just from your lawsuit. They owe dangerous people, Em. And now those people are coming for me. I don't know what to do." My heart thudded against my ribs, a frantic rhythm I couldn't silence. Dangerous people? I'd always known my parents were reckless. My father's gambling binges, my mother's blind enabling, but this was a new abyss. I dug deeper, calling old friends, a private investigator I'd met through work, pulling public records late into the night. The truth unfolded like a horror story. My father's addiction had spiraled decades ago, draining their savings, pushing them to borrow from loan sharks, men with no patience and a taste for violence. My mother had covered it, forging documents, lying to creditors, even using my name on loans when I was in college. Identity theft I'd never noticed until now. They owed $200,000, a debt compounded by interest and desperation. My condo was their last lifeline, a promise to Lucas that he'd inherit it, a lie to keep him tethered while they drowned. 2 days later, Lucas appeared at my door. I'd thought I'd hidden my tracks, new city, unlisted address. But there he was, a ghost from my past. His face was gaunt, his eyes wild, a fresh bruise blooming across his cheek. He clutched his side, wincing as he stepped forward. "They came for Mom and Dad," he rasped, his voice barely above a whisper. "Trashed the house, took everything they could carry, said next time, it's blood. Help me, Em." I stood in the doorway, arms crossed, my resolve a fortress. "Why should I? You've spent your life taking from me. My money, my trust, my peace. Why should I care now?" He lifted his shirt, revealing a jagged gash across his ribs, crusted with dried blood. "Because if you don't, they'll kill me. They beat Dad so bad he's in the hospital, broken ribs, shattered hand. Mom's a mess, begging them for time. They gave us a week, and I've got nowhere to run." I stared at him, the brother I despised, now a broken shell trembling before me. I wanted to slam the door, let him sink in the mire he'd helped create. But his eyes, those wide, terrified eyes, held something I'd never seen. Genuine fear, a plea stripped of his usual bravado. This wasn't just family dysfunction anymore. This was life or death. "What happened?" I asked, my voice tight, reluctant. He swallowed hard, his hand shaking. "They showed up at the house 2 nights ago. 3 guys, big, mean, one with a bat. Mom and Dad thought they could talk their way out, offer excuses, promise payments." The leader laughed, then smashed Dad's hand on the table. "Said they've been late too many times, that the debts doubled with interest. They took the TV, Mom's jewelry, anything worth a dime. Then they turned to me. Said if the money's not there in a week, they start cutting pieces off us." I exhaled slowly, my mind racing. "So you want me to pay it? 200 grand I don't owe?" "No," he said, his voice cracking, surprising me. "I want you to help me end them. Mom and Dad, they've lied to us both, dragged us into this hell. I'm done protecting them. I want them gone." "Gone?" I echoed, my stomach twisting. "What are you saying, Lucas?" "I'm saying they've ruined us," he whispered, tears welling in his eyes. "They lied about everything. The inheritance, the condo, their money. They used you, used me, and now we're both targets. Help me make them pay." I stared at him, the brother I'd hated, now a conspirator in a war I hadn't signed up for. My instincts screamed to walk away, to let them drown in their own chaos. But the gash on his ribs, the bruise on his face, the raw terror in his voice, they tethered me to this nightmare. Against every fiber of my being, I nodded. "Tell me everything. Every lie, every debt, every secret." Lucas spilled it all, a flood of confession that stretched into the early hours. My father had gambled since I was a kid. Cards, horses, slots, losing more than he ever admitted. My mother had covered it, forging signatures, taking out loans in my name when I was 18, a betrayal I'd never suspected. They'd promised Lucas an inheritance that didn't exist, dangling the condo as a carrot to keep him compliant while they sank deeper into debt. The loan sharks weren't just creditors. They were enforcers for a local syndicate, men who'd killed for less than what my parents owed. The condo sale was their final hope, a plan to pawn it off to Lucas, sell it later, and settle the score. I'd burned that bridge, and now the flames were licking at us all. I didn't sleep that night. Lucas crashed on my couch, his ragged breathing a constant reminder of the mess I'd been dragged back into. I paced the apartment, my mind a battlefield of rage, fear, and resolve. I could pay the debt, dip into my savings, sell my car, take out a loan. But why? They'd made their bed, lied in it, and now expected me to bail them out again? Number this time, I'd fight fire with fire. I didn't pay the debt. I didn't run. I went nuclear. I took Lucas's evidence, bank records, forged documents, threatening voicemails he'd recorded from the loan sharks, and handed it to the police. I spent hours in a sterile precinct, detailing the fraud, the identity theft, the extortion. Then I made a call I never thought I'd make. I tracked down a contact from my PI friend, a burner number tied to the syndicate, and tipped them off. Not with money, but with proof. Hidden accounts my parents had buried offshore, a rental property in New Hampshire they'd lied about owning, assets they'd concealed to dodge their debts. "They've got your cash," I told the gravelly voice on the line, my tone steady despite the tremor in my hands. "Go get it." The arrests came fast, a whirlwind of sirens and handcuffs. My parents were hauled out of their wrecked home, my father limping from his injuries, my mother sobbing hysterically. The charges piled up: fraud, tax evasion, racketeering, forgery. The police seized the offshore accounts, the rental property, everything the loan sharks hadn't already claimed. The syndicate got their money, their enforcers backing off once the debt was squared. My parents faced a judge who saw through their crocodile tears, sentencing them to 10 years each. Hard time for a lifetime of lies. Lucas testified against them, his voice steady as he laid bare every scam, every betrayal. He named dates, amounts, even the loan sharks' aliases. His cooperation earning him probation and a community service sentence. A slim chance to rebuild. I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching my family implode, my expression a mask of detachment. My mother caught my eye as they led her away, her lips forming a silent, "Please." I turned my back, walked out into the Seattle rain, and didn't look back. I stayed in Seattle, carved out a life untainted by their shadow. My apartment became a sanctuary, bookshelves I'd built myself, a view of the sound that calmed the chaos they'd left behind. My job thrived, the promotion a reward for years of resilience. The condo money grew in a savings account, a buffer against the uncertainty I'd once known too well. Lucas sends postcards now, short, scrawled updates about his job at a warehouse, his sobriety meetings, his tentative steps towards something better. I don't reply, but I keep them in a drawer, a quiet acknowledgement of his effort. My parents write from prison, their letters a mix of pleas and accusations. "We're your family, Emily," my mother scribbles. "Forgive us." My father's are sterner. "You've abandoned us when we needed you most." I read them once, then burn them in the sink, watching the flames curl the paper to ash, the smoke a cleansing ritual. The family I knew is gone, reduced to cinders by their own hands, and mine. I don't mourn it. I breathe deeper now, the air free of their weight, the bridge I torched a fading scar on the horizon. But the story doesn't end there. 6 months later, a package arrived. No return address, just my name in shaky handwriting. Inside was a letter from Lucas, longer than his usual postcards, and a faded photograph of us as kids. Me, 10, him, 7, grinning on a beach, oblivious to the storm brewing in our parents' lives. The letter was a confession, a plea, a goodbye. "I found something," he wrote. "After the trial, I went through their old files, stuff the cops missed. There's a safe deposit box, Em. They hid it from everyone, even me. It's in your name. Opened when you were a kid. They never told you, used it to stash cash from their scams. I don't know what's in it, but it's yours. The keys with their old lawyer, Jenkins. I'm leaving town, got a job offer in Oregon, a fresh start. I won't drag you into more mess. You were right. I had to grow up. Thanks for cutting the net. It saved me." I stared at the photo, my younger self frozen in a moment before the lies took root. A safe deposit box? In my name? The idea gnawed at me, a loose thread in a tapestry I'd thought complete. I tracked down Jenkins, a weary old man in a cluttered office who handed me the key with a sigh. "They were a piece of work, your folks," he muttered. "Good luck." The bank vault was cold, the box heavier than I'd expected. Inside was cash, $50,000 in crisp bills, jewelry I recognized from my grandmother, and a letter in my mother's handwriting dated 15 years ago. "Emily," it read, "if you're reading this, we failed you. This is your escape, your chance to run from our mistakes. We love you, even if we never showed it right. Forgive us someday." The words hit like a punch, a belated apology from a woman I'd written off. I sat there, the vault's silence pressing in, tears I hadn't shed in years blurring my vision. Love, forgiveness. They'd buried me under their failures, used me as a pawn, and now offered this as absolution. I took the cash, the jewelry, left the letter in the box. I didn't need their guilt, their excuses. I'd built my own escape, fought for it, earned it. I donated half the money to a women's shelter, a quiet rebellion against the chaos they'd sown. The rest went into my savings, a cushion for the life I'd reclaimed. The jewelry sits in a drawer, a reminder of a grandmother who'd loved me before it all went wrong. Lucas is gone. Oregon, a new chapter. My parents rot in their cells, their pleas unanswered. And me? I stand in the ruins of their lies. Stronger for it, the ashes of that bridge a testament to my survival. Freedom tastes like rain on my tongue, like the salt of the sound, like the quiet of a life finally mine. I savor it, every bitter, beautiful drop. What heart-wrenching truths shattered my world? When I returned unannounced to the home I poured my soul into, only to discover my husband's lies, my best friend's deception, and a nursery painted with betrayal, leaving me to question every smile, every promise, and the life I thought was mine forever. The plane's engines hummed beneath me as we descended, a faint vibration rattling my nerves. I'd shaved 4 days off my trip to Tokyo, grueling months of boardroom battles, sleepless nights, and endless cups of bitter tea. And I hadn't told a soul. Not my husband, Diego, not my brother, Rafael, not even my best friend Marisol, who'd tease me for being so impulsive. I wanted to see Diego's eyes spark, to hear that low chuckle as he pulled me into his arms after 8 months apart. I'd been the breadwinner, the one who'd clawed our way out of debt, securing contracts that paid for our brownstone, our dreams. I pictured him now, sprawled on our couch, sketching designs for his next art project, waiting for me to come home. The cab from the airport wove through the city's arteries, streetlights casting jagged shadows across my lap. It was March 9th, 2025, the air crisp with early spring, and my pulse quickened as we neared our block. I clutched my leather satchel, resisting the urge to call ahead. Surprise was the thrill until it wasn't. Our street loomed ahead, and my breath caught. Cars jammed the curb, headlights glinting off chrome. Lanterns swayed from the porch, amber and violet, their glow eerie against the dusk. A banner stretched above the door, bold letters screaming, "Our future starts here." Music thumped, a rhythm I didn't know, and voices, too many voices, spilled out like smoke. This wasn't for me. This was something else. "Stop here," I told the driver, my voice tight. He pulled over 2 houses down, and I stepped out, the cold biting my cheeks. My boots clicked against the pavement as I dragged my suitcase. Each step heavier, dread pooling in my gut. The front door hung ajar, laughter and clinking glasses seeping through the gap. I pushed it open and froze. The living room was a fever dream. Fairy lights twinkled from the ceiling. A table sagged under gifts, boxes wrapped in silk ribbons, a cake with lavender frosting, and our friends, our family, swirled around like actors in a play I hadn't rehearsed. My mother hovered near the fireplace, adjusting a vase of lilies, her gray curls catching the light. Diego's cousin, Luis, lounged on the couch, mid-story, a beer dangling from his hand. And there by the window stood Marisol, my rock, my sister in all but blood, radiant, her hands resting on a belly round with 8 months of pregnancy. Diego was beside her, his arm around her shoulders, his lips brushing her temple as he murmured something that made her smile. Time stopped. My chest caved, air turning to lead. The room hadn't seen me yet, but I felt it, the shift, the betrayal, sharp as a blade between my ribs. My father-in-law, Carlos, clapped Diego on the back, grinning. "The nursery's perfect, huh? You've outdone yourself, son." Marisol nodded, her voice soft. "He's been up late every night, painting it sage green, building the rocking chair. It's beautiful." Diego's hand slid to her waist, possessive, tender. "Just the mobile left. Little birds like we talked about. She'll love it." She. A daughter. My husband and my best friend crafting a life in my home. My mother spotted me first. Her vase slipped, shattering on the hearth, and her face went ashen. "Elena," she whispered, rushing over, her hands fluttering. You're early." She grabbed my arm, pulling me toward the hall. "Outside, quick, we'll sort this out." I wrenched free, my voice cutting the air like glass. "Sort what out, Ma? How Diego got Marisol pregnant while I was gone?" The room stilled. A collective gasp sucking the oxygen dry. Luis's beer hit the floor, foam pooling. Marisol's eyes widened, her hand flying to her mouth. Diego stepped back, his hands up, palms out like I was a bomb he could defuse. "Elena, wait! Don't you dare!" I snarled, my voice trembling with fury. "How long, Diego? How long have you been fucking her in our bed?" Silence crashed down, thick and suffocating. My mother twisted her rings. Carlos glared, and Marisol, started to sob, her shoulders shaking. "It's not like that," Diego said, his voice cracking. "It wasn't planned." I laughed, a raw broken sound that scraped my throat. "Not planned? You accidentally slept with her, painted a nursery, picked out a mobile?" My gaze snapped to the hallway, to the stairs leading to our room, the room where I'd cried myself hollow after losing our son 2 years ago, where Diego had sworn we'd try again. "Was it there? Did you screw her where I mourned our baby?" "Elena, please," my mother begged, stepping closer. "You're making a scene." "A scene?" I whirled on her, my eyes blazing. "I've been in Tokyo 8 months, Ma. 8 months killing myself to keep this roof over our heads, while you all threw a party for their kid. Where were you when I needed you? When I was bleeding out my future? Carlos stood, his voice gruff. Calm down, Elena. Marisol's in a delicate state. Think of the baby. The baby, I echoed, my tone venomous. Right. The baby you all fawned over while I was halfway across the world, thinking my husband still gave a damn. I turned to Marisol, her tears carving black rivers down her cheeks. You were my best friend. I told you everything. Every fight, every nightmare. You knew what that loss did to me. I didn't mean to, she whispered, her voice fragile. It just happened. Just happened. I stepped closer, my hands clenched. You didn't trip into his bed, Marisol. You didn't stumble into a nursery. You chose this, both of you. I spun to Diego. What was it? Did you tell her I was too busy, too distant? Did you play the lonely artist while I paid the bills? He swallowed, his dark eyes darting away. Elena, I screwed up. Can we talk? Privately? Privately? I barked another laugh. Like when you begged me to take that job? It's for us, Elena. We'll start fresh. I trusted you. I broke my back for us. And you used it to fuck my best friend. I pointed at Marisol, my arm shaking. Did you laugh at me? Did you pity poor Elena slaving away while you played house? No, Marisol cried, reaching for me. We didn't want to hurt you. Hurt me? I slapped her hand away, my voice rising. You didn't just hurt me. You gutted me, and you... I turned to Diego. Do you love her? He froze, his jaw tight, and that silence was a knife to my heart. I grabbed a gift from the table, a sleek box with a violet bow, and ripped it open. A tiny quilt, hand-stitched with birds. Sweet, I said, holding it up. Who's this from, Ma? A little something for your new grandkid? She flinched, and I flung it at Diego's feet. Take it. You'll need all the help you can get. Elena, stop, Carlos snapped. Diego deserves better than this. You were never here. Never here? I rounded on him, my voice a growl. I paid for this house, Carlos. Every mortgage payment, every light bulb, my money. I gave him everything, and he repaid me with her. I gestured at Marisol's belly. So, no, I'm not the villain here. He is. I stormed out, my suitcase banging the doorframe, the cold air slapping my face. Neighbors peeked from their stoops, drawn by the shouting, but I didn't care. I climbed into the cab, slammed the door, and choked out, Drive. My phone buzzed. Diego. Marisol. My mother. I shut it off, my nails digging into my palms until they bled. I wouldn't cry. Not yet. They didn't deserve my tears. I checked into a boutique hotel downtown, all chrome and glass, the river glinting beyond the windows. The clerk handed me a key card, her eyes skimming my disheveled coat, but she stayed silent. In the room, I locked the door, collapsed onto the bed, and let it crash over me. Diego's touch on her, Marisol's tears, my mother's complicity, the nursery in my house. I curled up, my sobs tearing free, raw and jagged until my throat burned. But I wouldn't stay down. Not for them. The next morning, I called my lawyer, Victor, a pit bull in pinstripes who'd fought my corporate battles. Divorce, I said, my voice steel. I want everything I paid for, the house, the savings. He gets nothing. Victor's pen scratched. You've got proof? Every damn receipt. It's all mine. Perfect, he said, a grin in his voice. He's toast. Days turned to weeks. Diego's calls multiplied. Elena, please, I'm sorry. Let me explain. But I let them rot in voicemail. Marisol texted, I never meant to lose you. I blocked her. My mother showed up at the hotel, her face drawn. He's a wreck, Elena. You're killing him. He killed me, I said, shutting the door. She knocked again, but I turned up the TV until her pleas drowned in static. The divorce papers hit like a thunderclap. Diego tried to counter, claiming he'd supported me emotionally, but Victor dismantled him in court. The house was mine, every shingle, every pipe. He had 30 days to get out. I made sure to watch. The eviction was chaos. Boxes littered the yard, the lanterns long gone. Diego hauled a duffel, his hair wild, his shirt soaked with sweat. Marisol stood beside him, her belly massive, her eyes red. Elena, you can't, he yelled, his voice hoarse. This is my home. Not anymore, I said, leaning against my rental car, arms crossed. You made your choice. Marisol stepped forward, clutching her stomach. Please, Elena, for her. For her? I cut in, my voice ice cold. The kid you made with my husband? That her? She flinched, and I smiled, sharp and cruel. You're on your own. The officer waved them off, and Diego kicked a box, swearing. Marisol trailed him, head down, as they drove away. I stayed until the house was empty, then listed it. Too many echoes. I sold it for a fortune, bought a penthouse, sky high, all windows, a view that swallowed the city, and started over. Diego unraveled. No job, no cash, no me to lean on. He crashed with Carlos, then Luis, then whoever'd take him. Marisol stayed longer than I'd bet, until she didn't. 9 months later, a friend called. She left him, filed for divorce, wants support for their girl, Sofia Diego, broke and scrambling, couldn't pay. Karma was a beautiful bitch. I saw him months later at a grimy bar we'd once loved. He was skeletal, unshaven, hunched over a whiskey. I slid onto a stool, ordered a martini, and waited. He glared. Here to rub it in? Something like that, I said, stirring my drink. Heard Marisol bailed. Took what scraps you had. He stared at the bar, his knuckles white. You happy now? Thrilled, I said, leaning closer. You had it all, Diego. Me, the house, a life, and you trashed it for her. How's that working out? She said I wasn't enough, he muttered, his voice splintering. Said she needed stability. Poetic, I said, standing. Guess you're not the catch you thought. I dropped a 20 and walked out, his silence heavy behind me. I severed them all, my mother, Carlos, the whole Judas crew. They'd picked their side, and it wasn't mine. I built a new world, one that bowed to no one. New allies, new triumphs, a career that soared without anchors. The divorce finalized, the money locked tight, and Diego faded into a cautionary whisper. 2 years later, I heard Marisol remarried. A banker, steady as stone. Sofia called him daddy. Diego drifted, a shadow scraping by on odd jobs and regret. And me? I stood taller, fiercer, untouchable. The life I'd thought was mine had burned to ash, but from it, I forged something stronger, something no one could ever steal again.